Witness the riveting account of a charming Brooklyn pastor who, through exploitation, identity theft, and shamelessly displaying his ill-gotten bling, erected a multi-million-dollar empire of deceit before facing a monumental downfall. This astonishing narrative of Bishop Lamor Whitehead unfolds over decades, commencing with Whitehead's contentious assertions regarding a prominent police brutality victim as his father, and escalating to audacious robberies, dubious business transactions, and defrauding his own followers of their life savings, all while masquerading as a prosperity gospel preacher endorsed by New York's mayor. Whitehead's relentless pursuit of material wealth through dishonest means culminated in his apprehension on federal charges, including wire fraud, false statements to the FBI, and a brazen extortion scheme utilizing purported gang affiliations to secure fraudulent city contracts. Now convicted and staring down a potential 65-year prison sentence, his path of devastation lays bare the depths of covetousness one individual plumbed in the pursuit of riches, influence, and opulent living as the notorious Bling Bishop. Welcome to Profit Predators Business Scams Unveiled, where the glossy facade of entrepreneurship meets its shadowy counterpart. In this series, we dive deep into the world of white-collar crime, unraveling the stories of ambition turned deception. From the boardrooms to the courtroom, we expose the mechanisms and minds behind the most notorious business scams. These are tales of greed, betrayal, and the pursuit of wealth at any cost. Stay with us as we reveal the true cost of these crimes, not just in dollars, but in trust and human impact. Your journey into the darker side of business starts now. A nationwide news report covered a church robbery on July 24, 2022. During a sermon at his Brooklyn church, Bishop Lamor Whitehead, nicknamed the Bling Bishop, fell victim to a robbery where thieves stole valuable jewelry belonging to him and his wife. The audacious event was captured on a live stream, garnering widespread attention and reactions. While some sympathized with the flamboyant pastor and his family following the traumatic robbery, others who were aware of Whitehead's dubious past in New York City immediately suspected foul play. Was this an attempt to stage a fraudulent insurance claim? As scrutiny intensified on Whitehead in the aftermath of the robbery, a disturbing record of deceitful schemes and criminal activities spanning nearly 2 decades began to emerge. The shocking disclosures revealed a fraudster fixated on portraying lavish wealth and spiritual righteousness, regardless of the countless lies and victims required to sustain the illusion. This is the remarkable tale of how Lamor Whitehead, the notorious Bling Bishop, constructed his fraudulent empire through a bold campaign of scams, blackmail, and exploitation of faith, all while mingling with New York's elite before his great downfall. Lamor Whitehead was born on April 30, 1978. He was a kid growing up in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, and was just 6 weeks old when his neighborhood became the center of unrest. Lamor Whitehead faced his first controversial moment when he made claims about Arthur Miller, a 30-year-old married immigrant from the Bahamas whose 1978 death at the hands of police stirred widespread outrage throughout New York City, leading to protests attended by thousands of people. Arthur, a respected community organizer with friendly relations to some officers, was swarmed by 16 police during a confrontation. Despite explaining he legally owned the gun in his waistband, an officer tackled Arthur and put him in a chokehold, causing him to lose consciousness. He was pronounced dead at the hospital, leaving behind his wife and 4 publicly mourning children. However, Lamor dropped a bombshell allegation. He claimed Arthur had a secret 5th child with Lamor's mother, who was Arthur's mistress. Though no evidence supported this, Lamor asserted growing up in financial struggles in Brooklyn with his mom and 2 siblings as Arthur's unacknowledged son. When Lamor was in high school, he contacted Lolisa Miller Bradford, one of Arthur's known 4 children who was only 8 when her father died. Lamor unexpectedly claimed to be Lolisa's half-sibling, which came as a shocking revelation to her since she had never heard of him before. In the end, it seems that Lamor did express needing a Toyota Camry from Lolisa, making her suspicious of his motivations. Lolisa suggested taking a DNA test to confirm any relation and even offered to fly Lamor to Florida where she lived with her siblings. Lamor did not respond to the invitation, leaving the controversial claim unresolved. After finishing high school, Lamor got scholarship offers for sports from Shaw University and Farmingdale University. Instead, he chose to study accounting and videography at Eastern New Mexico University. Upon returning to Brooklyn, he briefly tried acting, rapping, and modeling. He made a couple of hip-hop tracks before starting his career as a mortgage broker. In April 2004, Lamor began dating a 22-year-old woman named Valerie Rodriguez. After 5 months, Valerie got a job as a finance associate at a Honda dealership on Long Island and was responsible to checking the status of loan applications from potential customers, which required logging into a software program and reviewing their personal information, such as their names, social security numbers, and credit scores. A few months later, Lamor requested the names of some clients with good credit scores, stating he intended to refer them to a friend in mortgages. She provided him with a handful of names. She also kept the username and password for the system, which had everyone's sensitive information written on a pad of paper next to her computer. She and Lamor broke up a few months later. However, 2 years later, in January 2006, Lamor was arrested while driving a Land Rover in Manhattan. His arrest made headlines because of his flamboyant attire and serious charges. Lamor had taken out loans totaling almost $1 million using the stolen information from Valerie's clients. He faced charges of identity theft, unlawful possession of personal information, and grand larceny. While waiting for his trial, Lamor started a mortgage brokerage company named Anointing Management Services. He mentioned he had become a minister and began wearing clerical collars to court. Lamor was given a plea deal for a 1-year jail term, but he turned it down, opting for trial instead. He was later found guilty on 17 counts of identity theft, grand larceny, and other charges. The judge gave Lamor a sentence of 10 to 30 years in prison. While he was in prison, he was sued for cheating on a mortgage client. The court instructed him to pay more than $300,000. In July 2013, after completing only 5 years of his sentence in the Sing Sing Correctional Facility, he was released. Upon his release from prison, Lamor began leasing a room in his friend's apartment. Her name was Aurora Gordon. She resided in affordable housing in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. Aurora was passionate about assisting survivors of domestic violence, and she believed Lamor could assist her in launching her organization. In return, she agreed to assist Lamor in establishing a ministry called Leaders of Tomorrow, Brooklyn, which operated as a for-profit youth outreach organization. Despite Lamor's attempts to portray it as a non-profit in public statements, the ministry claimed to provide various programs and services, including initiatives involving the NYPD, media, catering, and a record label. With Aurora's support, Lamor expanded Leaders of Tomorrow and transformed it into a church. They held an initial meeting attended by about 43 people where they discussed religious matters and other topics. Lamor now had a strong cover for his future endeavors. Lamor's preaching style was labeled the prosperity gospel, which stresses the material rewards attainable through a connection with God. Lamor promoted showcasing wealth as a way to draw others to God. In line with his preaching, Lamor himself flaunted his affluence, often standing before his congregation in bespoke designer suit adorned with gold and diamond chains. Additionally, he possessed a garage filled with a range of luxurious and high-performance cars. Lamor started mingling with lots of important people, including hip-hop artists and Eric Adams, who was a New York State senator at the time. Eric became Lamor's mentor, and he told New York Magazine that they bonded over a story involving Lamor's alleged late father. Their friendship persisted after Eric was elected as Brooklyn Borough President in 2013. Lamor later appeared at over a dozen high-profile events alongside Eric. Eric even introduced Lamor at a concert as his good friend and brother. He also presented Lamor's mom with an honorary citation and gave Lamor's cousin the key to Brooklyn. Lamor had been assuring Aurora that Eric would assist her in obtaining city funding, but no money or contract ever materialized. Consequently, Aurora severed ties with Lamor and evicted him from her apartment. In retaliation, Lamor filed a lawsuit against her for wrongful eviction. This action alerted the housing authority to Aurora's illegal subletting, putting her housing situation at risk. In her effort to address the situation, Aurora contacted the district attorney's office, prompting them to initiate an investigation into Lamor. In 2016, he was ordained as a bishop in the Lord's Church, and that's also the year he met a woman named Asia, who became his wife and mother of his children. That same year, the New York Post reported that Lamor utilized his connection to Mayor Eric Adams to promote his youth mentorship program. The publication claimed that Lamor had been raising funds for the program before officially registering it as a business. He also advertised a non-existent collaboration between the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office and his youth program. When the District Attorney Office discovered this, they sent him a cease and desist notice. In November 2020, Lamor spent the past year and a half campaigning to succeed Eric as Brooklyn Borough President. Meanwhile, Eric prepared to launch his own campaign for the mayor's office. During the pandemic, Lamor shifted his church services online and conducted prayer meetings over the phone. It was during this time that Pauline Anderson connected with Lamor. Pauline, in her mid-50s, had recently joined Leaders of Tomorrow, where her son was also a member. Lamor had helped her son find accommodation, and now Pauline hoped he could assist her too, as she needed a place to recover from major surgery. Expressing her desire to buy a house, Pauline alleged that Lamor initially informed her that her credit score was insufficient. However, he offered to help her by suggesting she invest in his company, promising to use the funds to facilitate her home purchase. Consequently, Pauline sent Lamor a check for $90,000, her life savings. Initially hesitant, she was reassured by Lamor's promise to provide her with a monthly stipend of $100. For the first month, Lamor fulfilled his promise and sent Pauline the agreed-upon amount. However, thereafter, the payments ceased. When Pauline inquired about her stipend and the progress of buying a house, Lamor allegedly claimed he couldn't access the money and couldn't address the issue due to the ongoing election season. Pauline demanded her money back, but Lamor claimed it was invested and inaccessible for a year. He even suggested that he interpreted her $90,000 check as a campaign contribution. Furthermore, he had ceased payments on at least two of his cars, a Mercedes-Benz and a Range Rover. Lamor's financial troubles were escalating, and he would soon rely heavily on his New York political connections. On December 31, 2021, Eric Adams fulfilled his dream by being inaugurated as the mayor of New York City. And although Lamor lost his campaign for Brooklyn Borough President, receiving only 1.4% of the vote, with Eric as the mayor, Lamor still felt empowered to attempt to extort a Bronx businessman by promising him city contracts and boasting about his ties to the new mayor. Fast forward to the news broadcast of the robbery on July 24, 2022. Shortly after the news broadcast, Pauline Anderson, who had given Lamor $90,000 in 2020 to purchase a house, filed a lawsuit against him as he failed to fulfill his promise of buying the house and repaying her. However, Pauline wasn't the only one Lamor had disappointed. He had also issued bounced checks to individuals involved in his $1.5 million house project in Paramus, New Jersey. Another church member stepped forward, claiming that Lamor owed him thousands of dollars for work done during Lamor's unsuccessful campaign for Brooklyn Borough President. When questioned about these allegations, Lamor stated that he was not acquainted with the man and dismissed him as just someone seeking payment, implying that people were seeking attention. The robbery incident was later confirmed to be genuine. 2 out of the 3 suspects were apprehended in September 2022, while the third suspect was fatally shot during a confrontation with U.S. Marshals. Upon learning of the third suspect's death, Lamor went live on Instagram and offered to officiate the man's funeral at no charge. Once the suspects were exposed, Lamor felt justified. He proceeded to file lawsuits against several online and radio personalities, including 2 $20 million defamation lawsuits against YouTubers King Jives and Larry Reed, whom he accused of labeling him a scammer. Lamor claimed these accusations led to the loss of business deals, church members, and income. Amidst his legal battles, Lamor faced further turmoil when he made national news again by being arrested in December 2022. Prosecutors in Manhattan charged him with wire fraud, attempted extortion, and lying to authorities. They alleged that Lamor solicited money from victims under false pretenses, pocketing the funds for himself. Additionally, he reportedly boasted about connections to gang members to intimidate one victim and falsely claimed he could leverage his political ties for lucrative business deals. These allegations raised concerns about Lamor's association with Eric, prompting Eric to distance himself from him. FBI agents executed a search warrant for Lamor's mobile phones, revealing that he had misled them about the number of phones he possessed. Lamor pleaded not guilty and was released on a $500,000 bond. In March 2023, Lamor faced a new indictment from federal prosecutors who accused him of forging bank records to secure financing for his New Jersey mansion. Lamor allegedly forged the records to falsely indicate that a company he managed had over $2 million, whereas the actual account balance was less than $10. This led to an additional charge of wire fraud. Then, in May 2023, siblings who owned property accused Lamor of submitting fraudulent documents to claim ownership of a church building on the property. Lamor purportedly attempted to unlawfully evict the congregation. The siblings filed a $3.5 million lawsuit against him for damages, which Lamor dismissed as frivolous. Currently, Lamor has been convicted of 2 counts of wire fraud, 1 count of attempted wire fraud, 1 count of attempted extortion, and 1 count of making false statements to federal law enforcement agents, and is facing a potential prison sentence of up to 65 years. His relationship with Eric has deteriorated significantly, and there are reports of marital trouble. As Whitehead faces the prospect of a lengthy prison sentence, his story serves as a warning to those who may be tempted by the allure of easy money and a lavish lifestyle at the expense of others. The unraveling story of the Bling Bishop is a stark reminder that true redemption comes from within, not from outward displays of wealth or power. Thank you for joining us on Profit Predators Business Scams Unveiled. Today's journey through the intricate webs of deceit and ambition reminds us of the price of unbridled greed. As we conclude, remember, awareness and integrity are our best defenses in a world where profit can often precede principle. For more insights and stories that peel back the layers of the business world's darker side, subscribe and stay tuned. Together, we'll continue to share stories that shock and shape our marketplaces. Until next time, stay informed and always question the integrity behind the profits.